Beezer with the Click community, and today we are talking about rainbows in Photoshop. This is a photo I took of my daughter yesterday. We had a lot of fun with water and light, and I had a lot of fun with editing this. And I added this rainbow overlay. This one's from Jessica Drawson, and anything she makes as far as Photoshop overlays is super high quality. Can't recommend it enough. I get nothing for that, but that is a recommendation. That being said, I have nothing against using these tools, but I do think it's really important that when you use these tools, you understand how and why they work. And that way, should you ever need to, you can replicate that on your own without presets or overlays or something created by somebody else. They're good, quick tools to have, but again, understand how you could do it all on your own as well. So let's get started here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a custom gradient. So we're going to come down here and click on gradient. Ta-da! That is not what we want. So we're going to come here to this little box, which pulls up this new little box. Now, just to be clear, I could totally come down here to Legacy Gradients, click that down, come to Special Effects, and there's something here called Russell's Rainbow. There it is. And I could get this very neon rainbow, put it in screen mode, and be done with it. That's not what we're doing today. Today we are learning how to do this ourselves. So let's go back and start where your gradient might be. Come up here to where it's opaque, foreground to background. That's fine, because we're going to be changing everything today. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. We want it to go from red to violet, right? So we're just going to click on this little circle or this little square. I know my shapes, guys. Don't worry. And I'm going to click on color, and that pulls up this color box. And I'm just going to pick a red I like. Good enough for me. We'll say okay. And then I'm going to click on this color box. And I'm going to click on a violet I like. I don't know why I'm being so picky about it. Good enough for me. And now I need to create all the colors in between. So if I see when this little pointer finger comes up, that's me just saying, I want a new box there, but I don't want it to be violet. I want it to be orange-ish. Okay. And then I want yellow. So we'll just make a yellow one there. And then green. And then blue. And it doesn't really matter where these are right now. We're just trying to get them in the correct order. Okay, let's say I've got this. Now I've totally covered up my photo with a rainbow. That is not what I want. What I want is to create either a linear light leak, meaning it's just a straight rainbow that looks like it's just a reflection off of something like a prism maybe, or I want to create that radial look that I added to my photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrunch all these together. And you can see I still haven't solved anything yet, but my lines are getting smaller, right? But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this way, this way. And now see, I can't pick color here. These are black, but what I can pick is opacity. And then check it out. If I bring that opacity down to 0, I get that. If I bring this opacity down to 0, it's all gone. So let's add a new opacity and bring it up to 100. And look, it's all coming back. So what I'm basically doing is I'm saying, I just want to be able to see what's in these areas. So I'm saying I do want to see the purple, I do want to see the blue, green, yellow, orange, red, etc. And you can see even here on this, it's showing me exactly what I'm revealing. And I could totally make some of these, like if I wanted to make this yellow a little less visible, I can just bring down that opacity a little bit, right? For today's tutorial, we're just going to leave everything at 100%. And I can even scrunch these up more to make that smaller, right? And just move all of my opacities and stuff to go with it. But for today's, I kind of like this spread out one, like this. Because today we're just going to do a linear light leak for this. So I'm happy with that. Let's say we want to make this new, right? And we're going to call it Kelly's Rainbow. Okay. I think I made one too many there, but that's okay. So we'll say okay. Now, here's where we get to have some fun with this. We can make this linear. We can make this radial. And if I want to make it a little bit bigger, right, I can go out like that. That's too big. But really, for right now, we're just going to click OK on linear. And just so you can see, wonky things can happen with this if you click on all these. But it's also good to click all these buttons because it's not going to do anything bad to your photo. You can just see what it does. But right now, we're linear. And let's say we want it to be kind of at an angle, like that. We could say OK. Now, I could totally put this in screen mode and be done with it, right? Make this light leak, it would land right there. The problem is that it's right over her face, right? So we don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off for a hot minute. We're going to create an empty layer. We're going to come over here to gradient. Now look, my good old rainbows, they're still saved up here. One too many, but you know, whatever. And I'm going to take my gradient tool and I'm going to just say, I want this to go right here. And I can totally move this around now. See, before it was just kind of stuck where it was. If I had just left that gradient fill layer, I couldn't transform it. I couldn't do any of this. Let's say I don't even want to keep those same dimensions. I could totally stretch it, right? And make it different. And let's say I just want this to go here, like that. And let's say I want to put that in screen mode. And now I've got a whole new light leak. Now I could totally go up to liquefy and I can change this into a curve. I could warp this. Let's try that. Let's see what happens when we warp this. Transform, warp, and I can totally like drag this around and make it circular. The idea is that now that I've saved my own rainbow in there, I've got a lot more control over how it's going to look. And it's going to take a good long while because it doesn't like when I'm using Photoshop and recording a video, which is usually my cue to like calm down and slow down. But you can see before and after. Now, obviously, I'm layering these two and it looks really ridiculous. But I can bring down the opacity a little bit. And now I've got my own custom light leak. And I totally understand how it works. It's with that gradient, it's putting it in screen mode, it's playing with, opacity. I could even come in here and paint some, like orangey hues. But the idea is even if I never use this, every time I use those rainbow overlays in the future, I'm going to understand how it was made, why it works, and why it looks good in my photos. So, all that being said, play around with these tools, play around with your blending modes, and have a little bit of fun in Photoshop. And be unapologetic when you use these tools in your photos, because it's not just, it's not just adding something that's fake. It's adding something that gives personality. And when you really understand the how and why, it means that you're being an intentional artist. And I think that is awesome. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I know that was a lot really fast, but I'm always here and happy to help and break things down when you need it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all soon.